Hello children, welcome to the digital classes of Christ Church Convent Higher Secondary School Katawara. I am Amit Toshniwal, your economics teacher. This video is for class 12th. Subject is economics. Chapter number 3, money and banking. It's part 2. Children, first topic of this video is what is the difference between money and currency. Generally this question comes for 2 marks, now means every alternative year, so you must learn this. तो ये दोनों चीज़ें एक नहीं है, मनी और करेंसी दोनों अलग अलग हैं और उनके बीच में डिफरेंस है. तो पहला डिफरेंस क्या है? Currency includes that much money which is actually current. It means paper money and metallic coins only included in currency. But money which is including paper money, metallic coins and credit money also. Credit money means checks, drafts, hundi, bills, etc. And second, this also comes as an objective. All currency is money, but all money is not currency. Okay. Second topic is forms of money. First point, fiat money or fiduciary money. That money is also known as government money because this is issued by the order or by the authority of government. So all the notes and coins of the nation for which every citizen is legally bound to accept as a medium of exchange, so will be called as fiat money. Checks are also fiat money because they are accepted as the means of payment, so that will be called as fiduciary money. Second, full-bodied money or credit money. It means that the money in terms of coins, the commodity value of which is equal to money value as and when issued. Third, suppose an example is given. When there was a British rule in India, a rupee coin was made of silver and commodity value of the coin was equal to its money value at the time of its issuing. So we can say the market value of the silver contained in the coin, it was equal to 1 rupee. Third is credit money. It is that form of money which value more than commodity value. So you can say see its example. The market value of the metal contained in present 1 rupee coin in India is much lower than the money value of it. Otherwise, what will happen? People will melt that coin and will sell the metal in the market. So whatever cost or whatever metal is used to make a coin, that is less than its face value or money value. Now this is an important question for you, functions of money, and it is categorized in 4 types. First, primary functions. Second, secondary functions. Third, contingent functions, or you can say assisting, subsidiary or helping ones. And fourth is other functions. So we'll discuss first one, primary functions. So again it is subdivided in 2 points, medium of exchange and measure of value. So first point is medium of exchange. Children, in modern money exchange system, money is used in sales and purchase. When exchange of goods and services take place in terms of money, so money works as a medium of exchange, and whatever price is mentioned on the commodity or it for service it has to be paid, money can be exchanged and desired goods and services can be availed. Second is measure of value. Actually, it measures the value of goods and services. So we can say the prices of all goods and services are expressed in terms of money, and it is as a collective measures of values. So when any value is determined or expressed in terms of money, then we can decide the rate of exchange of various goods and services in the community. Now we'll come to the second point, secondary functions. So it has got 3 points. Standard of deferred payments. Deferred means delayed or postponed. Second, store of value. And third, transfer of value. So we'll discuss about the first one, standard of deferred payments. Children, money has the quality of general acceptability because it is used for lending and borrowing. So it has got a standard of delayed payments, यानी कि deferred payments, and its value remains more stable than the other commodities, and it is durable than the other commodities. So it can be used as the standard of deferred payments. Second point is store of value. If a person does not want to spend all his money what he has earned, so one can save in terms of money in his piggy banks or in any account with the bank or in the forms of fixed assets like gold, silver, diamonds, plots, etc., buildings. So it has become possible after the invention of money that capital accumulation has become easier. So money serves as an excellent store of wealth, and any time whichever assets or unspent income is preserved as savings can be converted into the form of money. So it has got a store of value or value of stores. Third, transfer of value. Suppose a person is having a plot in a village or having a piece of land in a village. So after transferring it to someone others, in return, in exchange, he'll get money, and that money can be used, can be invested to take a plot in a city or in a town. So after disposing the property at one place, the other property can be purchased at another place. So it is easily transfer. It can be easily transferred from one place to another in the forms of savings from one account to another account, either by the direct investment and other forms. Third point is contingent functions. It means subsidiary functions of money. The first is, there are again 4 points. First, basis of credit. Second, instrument of distribution of social income. Third, maximum utility. And fourth, basis of capital. We'll discuss the first point, basis of credit. Credit means there are two meaning of credit here, and both means the same. The meaning of credit is goodwill as well as borrowing, or goodwill means prestige, SAC. So if somebody is borrowing and has got a credit in a goodwill, then he can get money. उधारी उसको मिल सकती है. So it happens only when there is a goodwill in the market. So both the meanings are similar and used in the same manner when we talk about money. So banks borrow from the public in the forms of deposits, and they lend it to industry, trade, agriculture, and to individuals to meet their long and short term requirements. So this is the prominent work, primary function of the banks, to take deposits from the public, and deposited money is distributed as loan to needy people. There are some banks, development banks in India, like IDBI, IFCI, ICICI, and some state finance corporation. So they do it. They borrow money from public and lend to others because money is transferable. So it becomes the basis of credit. Second, instrument of distribution of social income. At the time of barter stage, it was extremely difficult to distribute social income because there was no instrument to transfer money from one person to another or from one place to another. But after the invention of money, when it came into use, then value of production can be distributed among various factors of production in forms of money. They can be paid remuneration, and whatever tax is levied by the government on the class earning good income, so that tax is again redistributed by the government to the poor section of society by launching different schemes and plans like OBC, ST, SC, etc. Third instrument to equalize, or means we are talking about maximum utility, so which is equalizing marginal utilities and marginal production. Any individual is ready willingly to spend his money on any product till marginal utility equals to amount spent on it, that you already have studied in chapter number 2 of your book, Consumer Equilibrium. So this theory states that one produces a product, means when we talk about producers, so they will produce a product till the production cost of last unit equals to their sale price. That is chapter number 4 of your book, Producers Equilibrium. So both are equalized. So it has become possible because the quality of money, and it is acted as a unit of value. So what I mean to say, a consumer, a person will stop spending money if he does not receive marginal utility equal, at least equal. He wants more, but at least equal to money spent on the commodity. This is first case. And second case is, a producer will stop his production if the cost of production, marginal cost of production, is less than is more than its sale price. घाटा हो जाएगा उसको. And fourth, basis of capital. Capital formation is done through savings. So in earlier videos we studied that in barter system it is not possible to store commodities for longer time. There is a danger of being rotten, spoiled, destroying, etc. But it does not happen with money. Money can be preserved, can be saved, and small amounts can turn into big amounts, which is called capital. So what happens? Money can be preserved and capital formation can be done. So the last point is other functions. Again 3, liquid assets, guarantor of solvency, and instrument of option. So we'll talk about first liquid asset, means instrument of liquidity of capital and wealth. Anyone, any individual, any firm will keep money into liquid form only and only for 3 reasons. First, transaction motive, लेन देन करना है. प्रिकॉशनरी मोटिव और सिक्योरिटी मोटिव, यानी कि भविष्य के लिए सुरक्षित रखना है। एंड थर्ड इज़ स्पेक्युलेटिव मोटिव, यानी कि उसको उस पैसे को कहीं इन्वेस्ट करके कहीं और पैसा कमाना है। एक्चुअली द मीनिंग ऑफ स्पेक्युलेटिव मीन्स सट्टा, तो बट वी कैनॉट से इट सट्टा, विल से इट टू इंक्रीज इट्स productivity. Increasing the productivity of capital is called speculative motive here when we talk this term in this chapter. Second is guarantor of solvency. Liquid money owned by a person or institution is the guarantee of solvency. You all also studied in accounts. If any person or firm is not paying off his liabilities in time, so liabilities will keep on increasing, and in course of time the firm or an individual will become insolvent. So money works as an index how far solvency can be maintained. Then last is instrument of option. Option means if a person does not want to spend his money, suppose a person is a miser and does not want to spend his money and he wants to keep it. So anyone has got an option not to spend, but it is not possible with commodities because commodities have to be used, because after a certain time they will start rotting, they will start spoiling. But it does not happen with money. So money gives an option to an individual or a firm to preserve it for a longer time. Now we'll discuss the next point, that is supply of money. So supply of money means total quantity of currency in an economy at a particular time. And it has got 4 points. First, money supply refers to currency with the public and demand deposits with commercial banks. First. Second, when we talk in broader sense, money supply includes saving deposits with post offices, which can be withdrawn like saving accounts with commercial banks. So this is called M2 and money 2. First one is M1. More broad, the currency with public, time deposit with banks, also included it along with post office saving deposits and other deposit with Reserve Bank of India, which is called M3. यानी तीनों को मिला दो आप इसमें, है ना. So it includes time deposits and money supply. And fourth is broadest sense, currency with public, यानी पहला वाला point, all deposits with bank and post offices, whether demand deposits, saving deposits और time deposits, यानी दूसरा और तीसरा मिला दो, तो सब कुछ मिला दोगे तो तुम्हारे पास ब्रॉडर सेंस आ जाएगा. तो उसी का जो फॉर्म दिया है नीचे टेबल में तुम्हारे पास M1, M2, M3, M4, तो उसको शॉर्ट फॉर्म में तुम लिख सकते हो. M1 का मतलब होता है कॉइन्स एंड नोट्स एंड सर्कुलेशन माइनस कैश एंड हैंड्स विद बैंक्स प्लस DD विद कमर्शियल बैंक्स एंड कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स प्लस अदर डिपॉजिट्स विद RBI. M2 में M1 प्लस पोस्ट ऑफिस सेविंग भी आ जाती हैं, M3 में M1 प्लस टाइम डिपॉजिट ऑफ बैंक्स एंड M4 में M3 यानी M3 मीन्स M1 प्लस M2 is equal to M3 plus post office total deposits. Now components of money supply in India. Money supply means we will discuss in broad sense notes and coins with the public, excluding cash balances with banks, plus all demand and time deposits of bank. So first is net bank credit to government. It means credit which is given by RBI of India to central and state governments time to time, including central and state government deposits with RBI. If the other bank's credit to government is also a part of net bank credit which is given to government. Second, bank credit to commercial sectors. It means that credit by RBI to commercial sector and credit to commercial sector by commercial banks and cooperative banks and investment by commercial and cooperative banks. These two will be included in this. Next is net foreign exchange assets of the banking sector. That is, foreign exchange reserves go up, the money supply goes up, and it results rise in foreign exchange assets in inflationary. Fourth is government currency liabilities to the public. It is that amount of coins and notes with the public and increase in coins and notes, money supply goes up. When personal and business transaction is there, it should increase at least by the same ratio of the income grows. And last is banking sector net non-monetary liabilities other than time deposits. So it includes all non-monetary liabilities of RBI like treasury bills, securities which are issued on behalf of RBI itself. But it may be noted from above analysis that credit extended by commercial banks and cooperative banks and credit by RBI to government are very important element of money supply. So this is the end of video. We'll discuss next topics in later video. Thank you.